All right, welcome to Frontline. 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. We start with some breaking news. President Trump announcing this afternoon that American forces have hit and destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump saying that more will follow. Also, this morning at a briefing with War Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chair General Raisin Kane claiming that the operation, the first 10 days of Operation Epic Fury, more than 5,000 targets have been struck. Iranian ballistic missiles are down to less than 10% capacity. One-way attack drones are less than 13% capacity, and that more than 50 Iranian naval ships have been hit. But first, get your SAVE Act together, Senate. Drastic times call for drastic measures. Let's do this. All right, I'm all kinds of annoyed about this today, but you ever feel like your representatives are, not doing their job? Do you even feel that the elected officials on either party, on either side of the aisle, prioritize the basic functions of the U.S. government? Like, I don't, okay? Look, I say this all the time, that Republicans, they're not going to solve all your problems, but they usually don't create new ones. Democrats, though, they basically cause most of your problems, and they're doing it again. We just had two people throw makeshift Claymore mines into a peaceful protest, and the Democrats are keeping the Department of Homeland Security shut down.
My impression, in this case at least, is that the Democrats view this as a political issue and some sort of a political winner for them. Otherwise, I can't explain why they won't even sit down at the table and negotiate.
I mean, the Democrats won't even have a conversation. What are you, 5? I said this. I told you this, John Thune, that this was going to happen over a month ago. Keep in mind, Republicans gave up all the leverage and basically left DHS to be singularly funded. I think it's like 12 days or so from now to get partially shut down if the Democrats don't agree to this. John Thune now, just as I said, has no leverage to force a vote on the DHS because there's not enough political pressure to force 7 Democrats to cross the aisle and vote with Republicans to fund it. There is no solution here. You could blow the filibuster, though, and cite, like national security because, oh, yeah, that's right, Iran is threatening to activate sleeper cells, so there's that. Caroline Leavitt noted, though, today that the focus should be first on the SAVE Act.
Passing the Save America Act is the most important thing that Republicans and, frankly, Democrats can do to strengthen election integrity and protect our democracy. It's what the American people elected Republicans to do, and they must deliver on it as soon as possible.
But it's also like an 85% support across the board over all parties. So I don't know what the holdup here is. I know what they're saying the holdup is. That people like Chuck Schumer, oh, it's Jim Crow 2.0 or whatever whatever they say. But some guy that I now follow on X had like the mic drop of the day, my man Zeke. He goes, "Hi, Chuck, black dude here. I can trace my family ancestry to slavery. Can you directly explain to me how the SAVE Act is Jim Crow 2.0? Literally every black person I know has ID. Literally every black person I know has a car, or at least a ride. Literally every black person I know knows how to vote." He went on saying, "With your advanced white liberal thinking, you must know more than me." Yeah, I mean, that's what you're dealing with in the Senate on the Democrat side. People like Chuck Schumer. He's just out there saying random things, like Hakeem Jeffries the other day.
Keep ICE out of sensitive locations. And we've defined that as schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and polling sites.
Polling? Seems to be more worried about immigration officers at polling stations than funding DHS. I mean, why would Democrats care if ICE were at polling stations?
People who are not registered to vote, who are not American citizens, don't vote in American elections against the law.
It's not about preventing undocumented immigrants from voting. That's already illegal.
Only American citizens can vote in our elections. It's illegal for anyone who's not an American citizen to vote in our elections.
Oh, but they do. Here's the, 7,000th isolated incident of that thing happening, according to Democrats. That's why they don't want ICE at polling places. I mean, just try to make it make sense. This is who Republicans are negotiating against in the Senate. So, John Thune, if you can't find the votes to blow the filibuster, maybe you should find them or not be the leader anymore. And it wouldn't be the first time the Senate got rid of the filibuster. If you recall, in 2013, the Democrat Senate Majority Leader, Harry Reid, was the guy who blew the filibuster on confirming judges. And the Washington Post so kindly noted, quote, Senate Democrats took drastic steps to Thursday to eliminating the filibuster for most nominations by presidents, a power play they said was necessary to fix a broken system. Kind of like now, when Democrats won't even sit down and talk. They won't even have a conversation with Republicans. I mean, Democrats will probably get rid of this last type of filibuster the second they get back into power because they're crazy. And I'm going to prove to you how crazy they've actually become. Did you know that before 2010, in the history of the country, there were only 9 cabinet secretaries that did not get at least some bipartisan support for their Senate confirmations? Nominees like Roger Taney, because he criticized the National Controlling Bank in 1834. Little did he know we'd create the Fed 80 years later, but he tried. Or Louis Strauss in 1959, who was rejected for his beliefs on American nuclear policy. There were people with real things, then real issues that affected real people that didn't get bipartisan support for that reason. But outside of that, from World War II until 2010, there were less than 3 cabinet nominees to get less than 80 votes, less than 10 that didn't get more than 90 votes. Most of them were confirmed by voice vote for cabinet secretaries because the Senate was reasonable back then. Not like the childish ideologue whiny babies we have now. That was like a time period over 80 years. Did you know just in his second term, in 1 year, Trump had 6 nominees with 0 Democrat support, one of which was Pete Hegseth, who by all accounts is doing a pretty phenomenal job right now. Trump had another 4 with less than 6 Democrats supporting because Democrats are unreasonable, and that is why they should blow the filibuster to absolute smithereens. The legislative opposition from Democrats is like, it's over just made up stuff. It's like ideological differences that are absolutely crazy, like transing the kids and keeping our borders open, defunding ICE, which, by the way, the Democrats completely funded ICE 2 years ago. And they just reflexively oppose basically anything that Trump wants or does. Listen to how ridiculous the filibuster is, folks. Again, it might have made sense when Democrats were, I don't know, reasonable people, that they weren't acting like a bunch of alcoholics on legislative trips. The Senate requires 60 votes for most things, but these loons on the left, it takes one unreasonable obstructionist Democrat to indefinitely stall all progress. They can just say, I intend to invoke the filibuster. A single Democrat can stop the entire legislative process for the entire country. And they're doing it left and right. John Thune says he doesn't even have the votes, though, from a 53-seat majority plus the vice president to force a talking filibuster. Why? I mean, what is John Barrasso, who's the majority whip, what is he doing all day? I mean, make Democrats at least stand there for however many hours they want to delay this and tell the American people why they think we shouldn't fund the Department of Homeland Security. Also, I would just like to point out that Trump said the other day that he would not sign anything else until the SAVE Act was passed. Thune knows there's no Democrat support for either this or the DHS funding bill or basically anything else. So why is he focusing on this funding bill? Why not focus on the SAVE Act first, like President Trump wants, or at least told him to do? Who or what is holding, I don't understand why this can't pass. So let's see if Republicans do more than talk, because up to date, that's all they've been doing is just talk. This is the question right now. Do Republicans in the Senate care more about Senate tradition or we the people and our election integrity? Senior political analyst Rick Santorum and columnist of Town Hall, Kurt Schlichter. All right, Senator, you've been there. You seem to be coming around on maybe the fact that the Senate ain't so reasonable like it was when you were there.
Well, no, it's not reasonable, and it's really sad to see the Democrats do what they do. But that doesn't mean that, there's a saying in the law, bad facts make bad law. Well, this is a bad fact. The Democrats are being ridiculous, unreasonable. but that doesn't mean you should change the law. The filibuster is there for a good reason. It's been in place since the founding. Thomas Jefferson talked about the United States Senate being the saucer in which you pour hot tea. It's supposed to be a supermajority body. It's supposed to be a body where things slow down, and Washington isn't just majoritarian. So whatever the people want at the moment gets passed in Washington. That's not how you keep limited government. That's not how you have a responsible republic. And the Senate has played that role for 250 years. And if you get rid of the filibuster, here's what I promise you. The Democrats will use it. Democrats will use majority votes to dramatically expand the size of governments, and Republicans will never vote to cut it. Because they never do, even when they have majorities.
Yeah, but the problem is, Kurt, is Republicans aren't like, I feel like every time Republicans get elected, they hold the line to however far left the liberals got us to.
Look, I'm sympathetic with what Rick is saying, but everything is a system, Carl, and the Senate is a system where you have reasoned debate, and then you work to the supermajority from the filibuster. If the Democrats are not doing their part and participating in it, and essentially not slowing things down, not letting the saucer cool the tea, but freeze it, then the system's not working. And the filibuster becomes a component of a system that doesn't exist anymore. Again, I like the idea of a filibuster. It's a good idea, but allowing the Democrats to prevent President Trump from doing anything, that doesn't work.
Yeah, like I'm ready to just dump some tea in the harbor. But Senator, I look at Senator Majority Leader John Thune. He's downplaying conservative backlash over the SAVE Act thing. He's chalking it up to a paid influencer ecosystem. Look, I'm not paid to influence anybody. I mean, thank God Newsmax lets me come on here and basically say whatever I want, minus the F words. And I'm not paid to do this, but I want the SAVE Act passed.
I think I want the SAVE Act passed too, but understand, Carl, 36 states already have voter ID. Most of the states that are competitive and have competitive elections already require voter ID. The states that don't
are the ones that Kamala Harris won.
Well, that's right. The deep blue states that don't have a lot of competitive elections, by the way, don't have a lot of congressmen that are in purple districts. So it's not going to have a big impact on the midterm. And the bottom line is, I just tell you, if Republicans get rid of the filibuster, when the Democrats take control, they'll admit Puerto Rico, D.C., and a whole bunch of states. They'll pack the court. They will completely destroy the republic. And we will never get it back. So I understand the frustration. The answer is the next election. If you don't like what the Democrats are doing, they're blocking the 80% issue, vote them out. That's the answer.
We got to get a 60, by your logic, we got to get a 60 majority. Kurt, real quick, Schumer, though, he's now calling on Trump to open the National Oil Reserve. Roll this.
That's why I'm calling on President Trump to immediately release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to help bring prices down. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve exists precisely for moments like this. If President Trump cared about easing pain at the pump, he would act to release these reserves now.
But he voted in 2020, actually a few times, to block refilling the petroleum reserves, Kurt.
Well, look, every time I look at Chuck Schumer, I see him grilling raw hamburgers, right? I mean, he's a clown. Frankly, your force, the United States Navy, is going to clear the Persian Gulf. It's already taking out the missile capabilities and the mining capabilities. Straits of Hormuz are going to be open. Gas prices are already falling. And Schumer shows up. He's like the guy who doesn't get the joke until everybody else has finished laughing.
Right. Well, and the other thing, Senator, is for the first time ever, this broke like right as you guys were coming on air, Donald Trump saying they're going to open a $300 billion deal for the first U.S. refinery built in Brownsville, Texas in 50 years.
Again, if you look at the fact that when Russia invaded Ukraine during the Biden administration, oil went to $143 a barrel. It barely touched 100. And the reason is because of what you just saw. Donald Trump's policy of energy first and a prodigious amount of energy being created here has kept prices at a reasonable level. Yeah. More refineries is going to keep prices down. Remember, we're a net exporter of petroleum right now.
Right.
This is not a problem for the United States. This too shall pass, and it's all because of Trump policies.
Yeah. Well, I'm Senator, I'm glad you're on board with me. Tea in the harbor below the filibuster, right? Yeah? No?
No.
All right. Guys, I appreciate it very much.
You bet.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, a foreign-born politician pushes through an unconstitutional, quote, assault weapon that he can't define ban, trampling Second Amendment rights. 2A Tuesday, going to sound off on that in just a sec. But first, incumbent down, challenger up. Steve Toth defeats Dan Crenshaw in the GOP primary for Texas' 2nd Congressional District. The man himself, Steve Toth, joins me live next.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.
Need blood pressure support? Total Beets contain a patented key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. That's why Total Beets is the #1 best-selling beets brand in America. Take control of your health with Total Beets. Search Amazon now for Total Beets.
Power of disease. Ticks and fleas. Estinal word.
15 million dogs and counting know Simparica Trio offers triple protection against heartworm disease, ticks and fleas, and intestinal worms, all with 1 monthly chew. This drug class has been associated with neurologic side effects, including seizures. Use with caution in dogs with or without a history of these disorders. Don't just protect, triple protect.
Kibble. It's been the standard for decades, and it's failing our dogs. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete. It's gently air-dried, locking in the nutrients and the flavor dogs go wild for. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Kevin Sorbo here, and I have an important message to share. The government needs more money, your money. If you owe the IRS back taxes, they can garnish your wages and levy your bank accounts. They can even seize your retirement or take your home. Don't let the IRS target you. Call the professionals at Tax Network USA. Their tax lawyers and enrolled agents are experts in powerful programs that may even help you eliminate your tax debt.
Call for a free consultation or visit tnusa.com.
Well, Texas isn't the only state that has their eyes on election. While we're waiting to get to that, today is a key election day in the South. Voters heading to the polls in both Mississippi and Georgia. Mississippi voters are picking party nominees for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other statewide office, along with dozens of seats in the state legislature. Now, over in Georgia, obviously Stacey Abrams is not on the ballot after taking the Star Trek role of president of Earth, but a special election is taking place today to fill the seat of Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's a crowded field. There's more than a dozen candidates, 12 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and an independent, and 1 Libertarian. Now, of course, since this is a special election, you have to get more than 50% of the vote to win, or the top 2 candidates head to a runoff. But with so many Republicans running, they're going to split the vote everywhere. Does it leave room for a possible Democrat upset? I hope not. Mississippi GOP Chairman Mike Hurst. All right, Mike, could be a big deal with this seat coming up. I mean, you got 12 Republicans in there? We couldn't talk like 6 out?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say a partridge in a pear tree as well, Carl. Yeah, in fact, I know Clay Fuller is a good friend of mine from Georgia. He's one of the candidates there, and I think he would do a tremendous job. He's been endorsed by President Trump, but yeah, I think it's anybody's guess right now. But I hope we have some clarity by the end of the night.
Right, but this is like, I mean, you guys have a pretty consistently red policy on most issues down there. Is there any chance that through a plurality, a Democrat could actually win at least into the runoff?
There's always a chance. I don't think so in this district. This district is solidly red. It's been, as you mentioned, represented by Marjorie Taylor Greene. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to see 2 Republicans in a runoff for this.
Yeah. I mean, that could be absolutely crazy. Let's go over to Georgia a little bit. Obviously, you had the the shadow of Stacey Abrams for quite some time over there in Democrat politics. But there could be some legitimate races going on there. What do you know about your neighboring state, Georgia?
Well, all we've been focused on today is Mississippi. We have right now a United States Senate seat up for grabs. We have all of our congressional primaries today. We have 2 Republican districts that are running in primaries. On the Democrat side, it's very interesting because they have a lot of people running for these offices. And one I will note for you, George Soros-backed progressive prosecutor running for the Democratic nominee for United States Senate in Mississippi. Yeah. He's backed by Chuck Schumer. He's backed by Stacey Abrams there in Georgia. We expect him to probably win the Democratic nomination today. But at the end of the day, I think Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, who's also been endorsed by President Trump, will pull out a victory tonight, and she will beat him badly come November.
Yeah, wow. That's actually crazy, though, to think that they just focused all their money on these down ballot prosecutors because if they don't like the laws, they just get the person in there to not enforce them. Mike
That's
Hurst,
right.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. Texas just purged another establishment holdout. 4-term Rep Dan Crenshaw, a fellow team guy, actually, who spent years just clashing with true MAGA loyalists, got crushed in the GOP primary by Steve Toth. Now, when you waver on your conservative policies and support and obviously lose support for the conservative president, you're going to lose your seat, especially in Texas. Fresh off his massive victory, Texas congressional nominee Steve Toth. Steve, great to have you on. Look, Dan Crenshaw was a brother in arms of mine. Not thrilled with his policies over the last few, let's say, years.
Carl, it's all a culture of misinformation. Dan would say that it swept him out of office. And the ridiculous thing is that he outspent me 4-1. His super PAC outspent another super PAC 4 or 5-1. They had 5 times as many swamp-infested PACs that helped him, and he couldn't get beyond 41%.
Wow. I mean, that actually is shocking. The other thing I want to get over there, James Talarico, who this guy, I mean, look, he's basically like a wet noodle in a suit to me. But he beat Jasmine Crockett in the Democrat primary, so he's going to move on to the Senate. But I look at him as like basically a more finance-broed version of Beto O'Rourke. Listen to this.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity.
Trans kids, that ain't gonna fly in Texas, is it?
Of all the things, tell me something you love other than friends and family. Trans kids. Cutting the penis off a little boy, cutting the breasts off of a little girl. This is one very sick and evil dude, Carl. I mean, I'm telling you, I've said this over and over again. James Talarico came into the Texas House in 2019. There is not a more evil person that I have served with in the legislature in all the years that I've been there. He comes across now, he's kind of remade himself. He was this sharp-tongued, nasty, back-mic Democrat that was just, a liberal, crazy liberal, as far to the left as you can get. Such an advocate for the LGBTQ trans cult. Now is making himself into this Presbyterian-loving pastor.
No.
Oh, my gosh. No, yeah. I'm sorry.
And also, in Texas, you could have said, and I mean, you could have gone down the list. Steak, guns, God, Bibles, anything, cannons, eagles, freedom, flags, whatever you want. And he said trans. I mean, what a freak show. Steve Toth, congratulations on your victory, sir. Look forward to seeing you win.
God bless you, Carl.
All right. Coming up, nothing like a dinner with a radical Muslim after downplaying an ISIS-inspired attack in your city, but that's exactly what Zorhan Kwame Mamdani did last night. We got that and much more next.
Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. turn to us and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
What can $34 get you these days? It could send you to your ancestral village and give you a taste of your heritage passed down through the generations. That's a big adventure for a small price.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
Hello, I'm Franklin Graham. Jesus said, come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Maybe you've been burdened by the sins of your life and the mistakes, and you just would love to have rest for your soul. Well, I want you to know that God loves you. He made you. He created you. And he sent his son, Jesus Christ, from heaven to this earth to take your sins. That's right. He took your sins to the cross. He died and shed his blood on a cross. And he was buried. But on the third day, God raised him to life. And if we are willing to repent, turn from our sins, tell God that we're sorry, and by faith, believe on Jesus Christ, and invite him to come into our hearts, to take control of our life, God will forgive us and cleanse us. And you can have a new life, a new beginning, starting today, right now. Invite him to come into your heart. God bless you.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
Wow, weird. Another suspicious package found today near Gracie Mansion. Too bad the Department of Homeland Security is not funded. But the NYPD, who's done a pretty good job recently, evacuated Carl Schwartz Park this afternoon, responding to a suspicious device located near Mamdani's home. Now, the NYPD gave the all clear just a few hours later, determining that the package to be non-threatening, reminding New Yorkers that they did the right thing. If you see something, say something. Because just 2 days ago, you had two ISIS supporters bringing homemade grenades to Gracie Mansion from Pennsylvania. Now, the FBI went out to the suspects' homes. They searched their storage units, and they said yesterday's search of the storage unit believed to be connected to the Gracie Mansion incident revealed explosive residue. FBI special agent bomb technicians and local bomb squads conducted a controlled detonation to ensure the safety of law enforcement and others. How do you get that job? I want to be the controlled detonation guy. And not only did they find explosive residue, they later found explosive materials too. And what does the mayor do to celebrate all this success by the NY? Oh, that's right. He invited, remember this guy, Mahmoud Khalil? He invited him over for Ramadan. Remember, that's the Columbian University guy, the radical Muslim activist who was arrested by ICE last year to be deported. Now, Mamdani said, last night as we marked the one-year anniversary of his detention, Rama and I were, non-public wife Rama that he keeps making public, we're honored to welcome Mahmoud Noor and their son Dean to Gracie Mansion to break our fast together. Great. This is the same guy that told us that the 27-year-old chucking snowballs and chunks of ice at our NYPD, oh, they're just kids playing around. Right. Those the same cops getting treated like that still go out and run towards a bomb at his house. Some leader. Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart and host of the Alex Marlow Show. This guy, it's like unforced errors that I don't even think he realizes.
No, he doesn't. Especially my favorite one's the one with his wife where he treats her like she's not a public person. But that ship sailed, Carl. You may have noticed she was on, you probably didn't, but I certainly did because part of my line of work. She was on the cover of The Cut magazine, which is the premium version of New York magazine. She was also spotted front row center by none other than a little magazine you may have heard of called Vogue at the latest Fashion Week. But she's not a public person. It's so absurd. He's completely lost. We all knew he would be. And I just love seeing this experiment in New York spit out of control. I endorsed him for specifically this reason, and it's looking good right now.
Yeah, you're just looking to watch this spiral bad enough to make all these 84% of women 18 to 29 who voted for him feel sorry for their vote. But they will when the prisons are emptied. Earlier today, though, I got to get your take on this. At the U.S. consulate in Toronto, Canada, which America's attic, where guns aren't allowed, by the way, with reportedly no suspects or motives identified. Great job, Mounted Police Division in Canada. No reports of injuries, thankfully. But the good news is assisted suicide in Canada is nearing 100,000 to date.
Yeah, I can't believe you brought this up because you don't know this. I just recorded a big podcast with one of the top admirals at the HHS who is working on trying to stake out America's position as a leader against assisted suicide, trying to foster a culture of life. He drafts off of his Catholic faith to get there. And I just find this so refreshing that of all people, that Donald Trump and his administration, a guy who's famed as a New York playboy, famous for dating all sorts of beautiful women throughout his life, is the one who is standing up in the West for a culture of life in our time. I can't believe that's happening, but it is, even to the point where we're allowed to publicly talk about our faith in that regard. We can't have a culture of death. It's a slippery slope, is the definition of one. And if you just want to look at how Canada is doing, well, not so good.
No, not so good at all. And we don't need their maple syrup either. All right, this CNN thing is absolutely bananas to me. This is now deleted, okay? It was the title from their CNN post this morning, and it said 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during the abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, their lives would be drastically changed as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an I mean, dude, they took it down, and I'm just like sitting there thinking to myself, like, you got to be kidding me. There was... the writer wrote that, then an editor looked at it, was like, yeah, this looks good, hit the boat. Then they sent it to somebody else who also looked at it and published it. I mean, like 3 people thought this was okay?
Yeah, think about what if Netflix got to take over CNN with their 99% of their donors all going to left-wing Democrats. It's just a whole culture of transing the kids. And these people don't understand what you understand, Carl, having served, is that this is all ideological. This takes years to get to this point where you're thinking of trying to nail bomb innocence because you don't like someone's speech. It is such a foreign culture to Americans that even the left-wing patsies, they don't even understand how bad these guys must have been to get to this point. Mm-hmm. And it's so pathetic, but thankfully there's so many people who have screens capped this thing. It will live in infamy for CNN. We'll be citing this example for years to come.
Yeah, much like Nick Sandeman, who then went on to win a lot, or undisclosed amount, a lot of money.
Sure.
So good, great job, guys. They're doing well all over the place. All right. Alex Marlow, we appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Carl.
All right, here is a strange tech story. Come down this rabbit hole. You probably haven't heard this one. Before Facebook ever existed, the U.S. military was quietly working on a project that sounds a lot like social media before it was even a thing, like pre-MySpace. It was called Lifelog. It was a program run by the Pentagon's research team, also known as DARPA. Okay, remember that. Now, the idea of this was to collect massive amounts of data about people's lives, their emails and photos and locations and conversations and purchases and their friends, basically a digital record of everything a person is and does. But the concept started once upon a time, 1997, when a computer scientist named Chester Gordon, remember that guy, I don't like him, he was asked by a colleague to scan all of his books and research papers into a digital archive about the history of computer science. Well, Bell agreed. And then he was like, yo, why should we stop there? What if you could digitally record everything in a person's life? Now, Bell started experimenting with something called life logging, using cameras and sensors to create this complete digital record of his own personal daily life. That's what caught the attention of the Pentagon. And the goal was control. collect just huge amounts of personal data to better understand and maybe even possibly predict human behavior, something that could be valuable for, I don't know, military intelligence, I don't know, controlling government policies, but also just the general nosiness of the feds, because that's what they do. But when the public learned about this, all these privacy alarms went off. Weird. Yeah, like Fourth Amendment kind of stuff. So on February 4th, 2004, you might remember this date, not because DARPA shut down that day, it shut down the Lifelog thing. On that same day that DARPA pulled the plug on Lifelog, a college student popped up named Mark Zuckerberg, officially launching a new site called Facebook. So the question that I have, pretty simple, did the idea of logging everyone's life really disappear? Or did it just move from the Pentagon to Silicon Valley? I mean, after all, why do you need a government program to secretly collect data if you can just get people to give you all that data, give you the locations and pictures and activities and conversations for free, like they do now? I mean, we already know the FBI got Facebook very friendly to censor all the things they wanted during COVID. After all this, if you still trust the government, wait till I tell you about how the CIA may have known about the cure for cancer for 70 years in new, unredacted documents. Next, Culture Clash.
To a hacker, your tax return isn't just paperwork, it's a goldmine. Your social security number and bank data are their biggest payday of the year. Old antivirus software can't keep up. You need PCmatic. Our default deny technology blocks every single threat that hasn't been pre-approved. If we don't know it, we block it. Secure your return right now. Buy PCmatic antivirus and we will give you PCmatic VPN for free. American-made security for homes, businesses, and government agencies. Visit PCmatic.com.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. No mixing, filling, or storing your own syringes. Tirzepatide helps curb appetite and supports healthier eating by reducing cravings, including for sweets and carbs. And when your appetite feels under control, it can make it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. If weight loss has been on your mind, this may be the needle-free option you've been looking for. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint. Getting started is fast and surprisingly accessible. Just complete a quick online physician consultation. Here's how.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
I wish I could just watch live sports at home for a great price.
Sling lets you do that. Sling lets you do that.
Choose and customize your channel lineup. Or pause and watch for free. Sling lets you do that. Base package required.
Hi, I'm Wade Allen Root, the national TV and radio host known as the MAGA warrior and the capitalist evangelist. This presidency is ushering in the golden age of prosperity, and it's all built around making America the energy capital of the world. Enter Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. It took 40 years to piece together this 40,000-acre giant gas discovery. It's estimated to contain up to 6 trillion cubic feet of gas, with a management forecast projecting the first 25 wells alone to produce 400 million cubic feet per day of natural gas. This is how we power the AI future of America with clean natural gas. Headed by oil and gas legend Mark Bruner, whose previous public companies delivered spectacular returns for investors. At their peaks, Pentagon Energy grew about 100 to 1 for investors. Ultra Petroleum grew about 1,000 to 1 for investors. To learn more about Lost Soldier Oil and Gas, scan the QR code on the screen or go to lostsoldier.com. That's lostsoldier.com.
When an earache strikes, you need relief fast. Introducing Earache RX from Dr. Easy, the makers of Wax RX. Not just another eardrop, Earache RX is real medicine with 4% lidocaine. Earache RX has the maximum strength available without a prescription. Strong enough for adults, yet gentle enough for kids. Earache RX gives you fast relief that starts working on contact. Don't wait for an earache to strike. Get the power of real medicine. Get Earache RX at these fine retailers.
I don't know, reason like 1,456 of why I don't trust the government today. A newly surfaced CIA document that says the U.S. intelligence reviewed Soviet research that may have had a possible cure for cancer. This is a document from 1951, okay? It summarizes the similarities between parasitic worms and cancerous tumors. But wait, there's more. This will absolutely make you irate, okay? It'll make you hate the government. The document also reveals a possible cure, something that our government knew about and didn't bother testing or doing anything. They just covered it up for 70 years. It's called Marisol D, I don't know how they pronounce it, was reportedly effective against both parasitic infections and malignant tumors, and we're just now finding out about it. Newsmax contributor Kay Smythe and host of Tony Katz Today, Tony Katz. Kay, oh man, it's almost like they want us sick. Why would that be?
It couldn't possibly be because they make huge sums of money keeping us sick, Carl. And actually, I don't want to get too sad and too dark about this, but I did lose both of my in-laws in the last 2 years to cancer. Mm-hmm. And my father-in-law at one point was using what was technically a dog dewormer for his treatment, saw incredible results with it. And I'm pretty sure that, I get so... It just makes me so angry to think that I think if we'd ever told his doctors about it, they would have stopped treating him full stop. I mean, we know that the cure is out there. We know that they're hiding it. I mean, every other conspiracy theory has come true at this point. So why not this one? Why not this one when we're seeing real life results in real time anyway?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're building babies in test tubes and injecting them into surrogate mothers. I'm sure we could figure out how to cure cancer.
Yeah, 100%.
Tony, we thought Gavin Newsom was bad before with all this taxpayer dollars to railroads to nowhere. But listen to this. His wife has been doing this for years. The new IRS documents from recent years show that his wife has been paying herself and her company, which is ironically Girls Club LLC. It's a third party of a nonprofit that she owns. The entire year's a third of the entire year's income. She's pocketed $3.7 million over the last decade. The organization only brings in between $1 and $1.7 million a year in grants, some of which are from the state that her husband governs, and donations.
So people engaged in the grift and making money off of charities, this has been going on for forever with charities everywhere. The reporting there from the Daily Mail and Breitbart has the story is worthy of looking into from the people who have actually given their money to Ms. Newsom there, this charity. But I think we need to take a look at what this charity does. This is from the article. I'm going to read straight from it. The organization, it fights against intersectional gender stereotypes and harmful gender norms.
I don't know what that is.
This is a make-believe charity. This is as fake and as false as the idea that Joe Biden was really in charge in the last 3 years of his presidency. That's the story. Why was anybody giving their money to this? And just like we could say about the Clinton Global Initiative, access is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. How many donors were then getting access to Gavin Newsom, to the governor's mansion, and to opportunities?
Yeah.
That's what we got to look into.
Oh, no, 100%. And Kay, being that you spent years in the LA modeling industry, you're going to love this one. Gavin Newsom, speaking of Gavin Newsom's wife, actually, Harvey Weinstein moaned about miserable his life was at Rikers Island in this new interview, claimed that he got punched in the face by a fellow inmate, but he couldn't tell anyone, Kay, because, snitches get stitches. It's like, yeah, I don't feel the least bit bad for you, Harvey.
Yeah, cry harder, Harvey. I'm amazed that no one's beaten the absolute living crap out of him behind bars. He is probably one of the most revolting men to have ever inhabited Los Angeles. The fact that he thinks he's going to get any sympathy is laughable. I mean, seriously, what planet does this guy live on? That he thinks that from behind bars, for the crimes that he's behind bars for, he's going to get sympathy from anyone.
No one. Tony, I got 30...
He got punched in the face. He should thank his lucky stars. That's all that's happened
Tony,
there.
15 seconds to you. How do I send a care package to the guy who punched him?
I don't know. I don't have that address on me. I'm more insulted that you didn't think I spent years in the LA modeling scene.
You know what? My apologies, Tony. And
Thank you.
I realize that you've now settled on a single gender, but it used to be fluid. So you're welcome.
Oh, no. You went that way. I was going there. Forget it.
All right. Well, both of you guys, at least I didn't get in trouble this time. All right. Thanks so much. All right. We got some breaking news, folks. CENTCOM just releasing a new video of U.S. forces eliminating 16 mine-laying boats near the Strait of Hormuz. The 34-second video, another unbridled example of America just doing work on these boats. Fafo. Coming up, she ran as a moderate, but Abigail Spanberger is set to sign a sweeping anti-gun bill written by a guy who wasn't even born here. Next.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Just in time for our country's big celebration, the Kids Guide to America's 250th birthday is here, and it's free. Give your kids this epic story of freedom, heroes, and fireworks. Get it at freeusagift.com. That's freeusagift.com.
You know, waking up in the hospital from all that stuff, there's got to be some kind of purpose for me here. I need to get over myself and start helping others. Total Towers came in and gave me and my family a home. I've regained quite a bit of independence from that amazing gift they've given me. I can't begin to thank Total Towers for everything they've done for our family. It means so much to us, a life-changing gift. Thank you. Please donate $11 a month at t2t.org.
You're careful about what you bring home when shopping, especially when it comes to feeding your family. Shouldn't your investments work the same way? At Timothy Plan, we offer a wide selection of mutual funds and ETFs that can help you allocate assets without compromising your values. From technology to healthcare, energy to real estate, our funds are not only diverse but uncompromising to your values. Timothy Plan funds are filtered to avoid companies involved in abortion, pornography, human trafficking, and other harmful agendas. What you invest in should reflect what you stand for. Are your investments bearing good fruit? What's in your portfolio? Contact your financial advisor today to find out, or contact Timothy Plan directly at 1-800-TIM-PLAN to discover more. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Total Beets, America's best-selling Beets brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beets blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beets blood pressure support soft chews today.
Always ready to do some gun stuff on 2A Tuesday. The anti-gun libs in Virginia hell-bent on infringing on constitutional rights, despite the state being home to the largest contingent of active duty service members on the East Coast. A bill that would ban AR-15s, which is the most commonly owned rifle in America. It's very popular. And also they're banning magazines that can hold more than 15 rounds. It passed the state legislature, now heads to Abigail Spanberger's desk, where she's definitely going to sign this thing. Now, the bill was introduced by this guy, Saddam Aslan Salim, I think. He's a Democrat, of course, but he was born in Bangladesh and came to the U.S. when he was 10 years old to ban our guns. Why is this person, not even born in our country, trying to override our Constitution? It gets worse. The people who passed this bill have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, like this Virginia Senate Majority Leader. Roll it.
If you have an assault rifle, you can keep it. If you have an assault pistol, if you want to have one of these pistols with a silencer on it and a pistol grip in the front, a really big pistol. If you want to have one with a telescope on it or lasers or whatever else you want, that's okay. You just can't buy a new one, and you can't sell it to anybody.
Laser scope magazine clip bullet machine, Cam, host of Bearing Arms Cannon Company.
Yeah, so here's my question for Senator Surville. If it's okay for me to keep that gun, and he really does think it's okay for me to keep it, then why can't I buy another one? See,
Yes.
Carl, I don't think I'm going to be allowed to keep it. I think this year I'm going to be allowed to keep it. I think next year or the year afterwards, Democrats are going to say, no, Cam, actually, you can't have that gun that you legally own, that you lawfully purchased. That's where we're headed.
Yeah. Well, that's like me. I lived in Virginia when I was stationed there, bought my guns there, and then moved back to Connecticut after they banned AR-15. So I legally couldn't bring guns that I bought legally as a military guy back to the state that it's just so stupid to me. And you live in Virginia, so it's even worse for you. All right, another leftist state seeking to criminalize law-abiding gun owners overnight. This is Rhode Island, okay? They passed a bill last year that banning the buying, making, selling, and transferring of what they call military-style weapons. Those who possessed such weapons are allowed to, again, keep them, but now, just like you said, House Bill 8073 would criminalize the possession, and they already know you had them because you had to register them to keep them. I mean, it's almost like you saw this coming, Cam.
Call me Nostradamus. I mean, listen, this is their game plan, and you are naive if you don't understand that what Democrats do one session is only the first step, right? And then they go back for more, this incremental attack on our right to keep and bear arms, and we're watching it play out, as you say, right there in Rhode Island this session.
Yeah, no, it's shocking. I'm hoping this is all going to... Any word on that, by the way, Cam, when the Supreme Court's going to take up this ridiculous AR-15 stuff?
Boy, I mean, they could do it at any time. They've got 5 different cases, including a couple of challenges to Connecticut's gun ban that they've been debating in conference. They keep holding on to them. They're not dismissing them. They're not granting cert. So I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we do get a cert grant here soon, very soon.
Yeah, or, the government could just get rid of all their weapons and then, maybe actually make more sense. But no, they're not going to do that. All right, the NRA, real quick, filed a lawsuit challenging the National Firearms Act of 1934 in federal court. Now, I'm here for this one, okay? They argued that since Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill eliminated the $200 tax on NFA items like automatic weapons, suppressors, short-barreled rifles, that because they eliminated the tax, the NFA, as it's written, only exists on the legal grounds of being a tax. Therefore, the entire NFA is crap.
Yeah, it's a great argument, and we are seeing, I think that headline mentioned this is the 3rd lawsuit that's been filed challenging the NFA. So we're seeing groups like the NRA and others really make a full court press here. But going back to what you said, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act zeroed out that $200 tax on suppressors. But we're still required to register the purchase of those suppressors. But what's weird, Carl, is that the registry is actually a registry of who's paid the tax.
Right.
So if there's no tax to pay, how can you have a registry? And so I'm hoping that the courts will actually see what nonsense this is and say, all right, yeah, the whole thing's got to go.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I actually just bought my first suppressor today, believe it or not, since they got rid of the $200 tax stamp, and I just go in my silencer shop, buy it like Amazon, and wait 3 or 4 days. So I don't know what the point of the NFA is. Anyway, Cam Edwards, we appreciate it very much, sir.
Thanks, Carl.
All right. Before we go, shameless Democrats in Minnesota don't really care about the fraud or the theft of retailers. It's unbelievable. They actually think it's a benefit. Next.
Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.
AI company Palantir makes critical decisions for governments around the world. In 2019, Palantir bought $50 million in gold in case of black swan events. Not surprising what followed. In 2020, a pandemic shut down the global economy. And in 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. In 2023, we had a regional banking collapse.
And in 2026, could a 1929-style market crash be the final straw?
Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 888-528-4290 before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer 9 years in a row. Home of the No Fee for Life IRA. Patriot Gold Group is patriots protecting patriots. Call now, 888-528-4290.
Go ahead, crank the volume. We got you. USPS has increased daily package processing capacity by 46% in the past 5 years. And with USPS Ground Advantage, your packages stay in our secure network, dock to door, nationwide. For full visibility, near real-time tracking, affordable pricing, for peace of mind. USPS Ground Advantage.
Leaf Filter is America's #1 gutter protection system because it's built right. Leaf Filter is designed to keep debris out of your gutters and water flowing. When it's built right, it shows. That's why it's Homes Approved. It's good to be #1. Always.
Schedule your free gutter inspection today.
You know, WeatherTech isn't just for new cars. No matter how old or new your car is, it deserves WeatherTech. With laser measured protection for practically every car on the road, we've got you covered. Because messes don't care what year your car is. Whatever you're driving, we got it. We got it. We got it. Got it. We got it. We got it. We've got it. Oh, we got it. No matter what year your vehicle is, it deserves WeatherTech. Order your American-made protection today at WT.com. We're WeatherTech. You know we got it.
Right now, sirens are sounding from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. All across Israel, hundreds of missiles and drones from Iran are striking civilians in desperate need of food, life-saving mobile bomb shelters, and emergency supplies. Many families are trapped underground, unable to leave without risking their lives. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews has emergency teams working where the danger is greatest, but critical supplies are running out. Please respond with an emergency gift of $45 now. Your $45 will help provide a 1-week emergency food box and resupply trauma bags for first responders in the line of fire tonight. In this critical hour, Christians and Jews can stand shoulder to shoulder against the evil regime in Iran. But there is no time to delay. Give $45 now. Call the number on your screen, scan the QR code, and stand with Israel now.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
Look, Democrats in general are clowns, but Minnesota Democrats are on a whole nother level.
Yesterday, there was a presentation of a group seeking to change how we address organized retail theft. And it actually had not occurred to me to ask, it probably would have been good, to make sure that they would study sort of the benefit of shoplifting and of retail theft, and because perhaps people are relying on that. That was Minnesota House Democrat Dave Pinto wondering whether a study should be had about the benefits of shoplifting and retail. Does she own an insurance company? I mean, what those comments had Republican leader Harry Niska convinced that this attitude, this demonstrates why Democrats are so unmoved by the state's rampant fraud.
If you listen carefully to those comments, I think you understand why it is that Democrats have been so unserious about the billions of dollars of fraud that have been flowing out of our state. I think they think there are benefits to that money flowing to the groups that they're going to.
I don't know what's going on in Minnesota. It's like maybe you thought he was being sarcastic. I mean, shoplifting, Rob, they think it's a good thing. Now they're going to study it to see if it has benefits.
I don't know why the Democrat Party is just disappearing, and then you can see why their polling is so terrible. Even though they're not in power and they're in the easiest position to gain, because they're just criticizing all day long instead of having to put anything together. But they're still falling because they're just nuts. So dumb. It's a bad party. Carl, good to see you.
Good to see you, Rob.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.